is energy flow in an ecosystem? Energy flow in an ecosystem refers to the movement of energy through a series of organisms, starting from primary producers to various levels of consumers. All the components of an ecosystem constantly interact with each other, which leads to the growth and regeneration of its plants and animal species. For this interaction to operate and continue, energy is required. The sun is the ultimate source of energy for all the ecosystems in the world, except for the deep-sea hydrothermal ecosystems. Energy from the sunlight is captured by primary producers and converted into chemical energy. This energy then moves from one organism to another as they consume one another, forming the basis of energy flow in an ecosystem. Only 50% of the solar radiation is photosynthetically active radiation, or PAR. The producers capture only 2 to 10% of this PAR, and this small amount of energy sustains the entire living world. This energy goes through different organisms occupying trophic levels in an ecosystem. This is what is known as the energy flow in an ecosystem. Food chains. All the organisms need energy to grow, move, and reproduce. For this purpose, smaller insects eat plants, bigger animals eat smaller insects, and so on. This feeding relationship forms a food chain in an ecosystem. Thus, a food chain is a linear sequence of organisms through which the transfer of energy and nutrients takes place. The energy and nutrients flow in the form of food from organism to organism by eating and being eaten. This is what forms the basis of energy flow in an ecosystem. Each link in the food chain is known as the trophic level. In other words, trophic level refers to the position of an organism in the food chain. It ranges from a value of 1 for primary producers to a value of 5 for marine mammals and humans. At the first trophic level, primary producers like green plants, algae, and certain bacteria make use of solar energy to produce organic materials through photosynthesis. The second trophic level is occupied by herbivores, animals that feed solely on plants. Similarly, the third trophic level is occupied by predators who eat herbivores. In the energy flow in an ecosystem, the highest amount of energy is concentrated in the first trophic level, subsequently dispersing into organisms of different trophic levels. The amount of energy decreases as one moves higher up in the trophic level in an ecosystem. On average, about 10% of net energy produced at one trophic level is passed on to the next level. As there is high energy loss at subsequent trophic levels, most terrestrial ecosystems have no more than 5 trophic levels, and marine ecosystems generally have no more than 7. Broadly, there are 2 types of food chains in any ecosystem: grazing food chains and detritus food chains. This type of food chain is more prevalent in those ecosystems where a substantial part of the net primary production is grazed on by herbivores. Thus, there is enough energy to support the higher trophic level and in turn a food chain. It starts from a green plant base, goes to grazing herbivores and onto carnivores. Detritus food chains. This type of food chain starts with dead organic matter, which is decomposed by microorganisms, which in turn are eaten by other organisms. Thus, it is less dependent on direct solar energy and more on the supply of organic matter produced by another ecosystem. Food web. Food chain follows a single path as animals eat each other. In a natural environment or an ecosystem, the relationships between the food chains are interconnected, as one organism may be a part of multiple food chains. Hence, in place of a linear food chain, a web-like structure is formed in energy flow in ecosystem. The web-like structure is formed with the interlinked food chain, and such matrix that is interconnected is known as a food web. Ecological pyramids. An ecological pyramid is the graphical representation of the relationship between the producer and different levels of consumers in terms of a number of species, biomass, or energy accumulated. They are the graphical representations of trophic levels in energy flow in an ecosystem. They are also known as models of energy flow in an ecosystem. There are three types of ecological pyramids: pyramid of numbers, pyramid of biomass, and pyramids of energy. Pyramid of numbers. It is the relationship between the producers and various consumers, as shown in terms of the population at each trophic level. A pyramid of numbers is advantageous over other types of pyramids because it is a simple method of showing energy flow in an ecosystem. In this case, one only needs to count the number of organisms. Also, it is good for comparing changes to the ecosystem at different times of the year. However, it has limitations as the number of species may be too high to measure accurately. It also includes all the organisms ignoring their sizes, which leads to inverted pyramids. Based on its shape, the pyramid of numbers are of two types: erect pyramid of numbers and inverted pyramid of numbers. Pyramid of biomass. It is the graphical representation of the producers and various levels of consumers in terms of their biomass. A pyramid of biomass is a more accurate indication of how much energy flow in an ecosystem happens at each trophic level. Pyramid of biomass can be erect as well as inverted. Erect pyramid of biomass and inverted pyramid of biomass. Pyramids of energy. It is the graphical representation of the producers and various levels of consumers in terms of the total energy accumulated by them. As the energy flow in an ecosystem decreases while moving higher up in the trophic level, the pyramid of energy is always erect, both in aquatic and terrestrial ecosystems. This method of showing energy flow in an ecosystem overcomes the issue with above methods as it shows the actual energy transferred. However, this method of showing energy flow in an ecosystem has one lacuna, that it is very difficult to collect the energy data of a trophic level.